I would like to give you all a brief intro of Bimal Ji. I know most of you might already know him, might be following him on social media, but just to give our new audience here a brief of Bimal Ji, let's go ahead with that. So Bimal Ji is a member of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India since May 1994 and member of Institute of Company Secretaries of India since December 2006, along with a bachelor's degree in law. Also, he's a qualified SAP financial control consultant and has more than 21 years of experience in indirect taxation and specializes in all aspects of GST, service tax, VAT, CST, central excise, customs, foreign trade policy, SEZ, EOU, export import laws. He has working experience of more than 18 years in renowned companies such as LG Electronics India, Honda Motorcycles and Scooters India, Hindustan Development Corporation, Khaitan and Company, and presently he is the executive director of A to Z Tax Corp LLP, a boutique indirect tax firm. And in addition to that, he has also won a lot of awards and recognitions. He has been a keynote speaker at the Guinness World Record made by ICSI in largest taxation lesson on GST, attended by 4,500 plus participants, breaking earlier record of Japan. Business Leader Award from Amity School, Noida. Best Speaker Award from NIRC ICAI, ICWAI. Young Achievers Award at Igniting Minds 2015. Best Participant Award in MSOP, 117th batch by ICSI. Now, the session is all yours, Bimalji. Please go ahead and take it forward.
Thank you, Harsini, for a lovely and nice introduction. Hope I'm audible and visible to all my participants. If they can say yes in the chat box, I will start immediately. That you are being able to hear me and you can see me as well. Thank you very much. Thanking each of the participants joining today on very important topic, e-invoicing. Now, as a background, we have heard the term invoice, tax invoice, and now e-invoice. So what is the importance of these three terms? Invoice, tax invoice, e-invoice. And there's another self-invoice also, when you procure from unregistered supplier and RCM applicable. So having said that, we have to understand important aspect of e-invoicing under GST law. And as usual, I'm going to throw questions. I will ask the queries and will request each one of you that you should answer in a chat box. Let be interactive session, and I will go one by one so that you understand each and every aspect. When we look at invoice under GST law, it includes tax invoice also. And we all know tax invoice is the eligible document which is raised by the supplier of goods or services or both. And on this tax invoice, credit is being availed by the recipient of goods or services. You know that there are 4 conditions to availing credit. When we started GST on July 1, 2017, a recipient must have tax invoice copy, eligible document on which he can avail the credit. He must have received goods and services alongside. Third, his supplier must have paid taxes, and the recipient buyer regularly filing GST return. 4 conditions we started. 5th condition got added from 1st January 2022, that whatever credit availed by the recipient, it must be matched with GSTR 2B. But tax invoice is the eligible document on which buyer recipient avail the credit. So what is this e-invoicing concept? And when it is made applicable? First question, when it is made applicable? So in GST law, GST got introduced on July 1, 2017. It was tax invoice, but from October 1, 2020. And these are the important deadline when e-invoicing provision got introduced and then subsequently amended. On October 1, 2020, the threshold of aggregate turnover for any registered person to generate e-invoice was 500 crore rupees. 500 crore rupees got reduced to 100 crore on 1st January 2021. Further reduced to 50 crore on 1st April 2021. Got reduced to 20 crore on 1st April 2022. And now it is further reduced to 10 crore from 1st of October 2022. So we started from 1st October 2020 with a threshold of 500 crore, which is now reduced to 10 crore on 1st October 2022. And there is compliances, and it will further go down to 5 crore from 1st April 2023. 1st April 2023. So we have to be ready. Now there are three things which I said in this particular one line: threshold, aggregate turnover, and another part, let me say, then we will ask queries to each other. Aggregate turnover. Now this aggregate turnover need to be examined in any of the preceding financial year. In any of the preceding financial year, starting from 2017-18, 17-18, then only it is applicable. So if I talk about that this e-invoicing provision now going to be applicable for all such registered person whose aggregate turnover is more than 10 crore in any preceding financial year starting from financial year 2017-18. So for simplicity, let me take one example and ask this query to all of you. Let's say your aggregate turnover, and what is the aggregate turnover? I will tell you. Okay, take this question first, then I will ask my query to all of you. Aggregate turnover as defined under GST law, under section 2, subsection 6. Aggregate turnover is sum total of taxable supplies. Taxable supplies can be inter, B2B, B2C, and it also includes exempt supplies. And there are three components of exempt supplies. What are those three terms? If any goods and services chargeable at nil rate of duty, nil rate of GST, it is exempt supply. If any goods or services chargeable to GST but exempted by way of exemption notification. So goods are being exempted by notification number 2/2017, and services are being exempted by notification number 12/2017. So exempted by way of exemption notification as per section 11 of CGST Act, read with section 6 of IGST Act. And third term, even exempt supplies includes non-taxable supplies. Non-taxable supplies. So three term: nil rated, exempted, and even including non-taxable supplies. So what is the meaning of non-taxable supplies? Supply of goods or services which is not leviable to GST under GST law. So maybe petroleum product, and along with petroleum product, you are dealing into some other taxable supplies. So for calculation of aggregate turnover, it would be sum total of taxable supply plus exempt supplies plus export turnover. Export, even though export are zero rated, but for calculation of aggregate turnover, we need to add export turnover, excluding GST components, CGST, SGST, UTGST, IGST. These need to be excluded. So this is the meaning of aggregate turnover. The question which I wanted to ask you, who all are required to generate e-invoice from 1st of October 2022? I told you the provision that any registered person having aggregate turnover more than 10 crore in any preceding financial year starting from 2017-18. So get set ready and answer. Let's say your aggregate turnover starting from 17-18, 18-19, 19-20, 2021 and 21-22, 31st March 2022 was only 9 crore rupees, was only 9 crore rupees. But your aggregate turnover from April 22 to September 22 is 12 crore rupees. 12 crore rupees. Please tell me, are you supposed to generate e-invoice as per the example which I gave to you? Say yes and no in a chat box. So Ajoy is saying yes. There are so many yes also. Apurva Panchal is saying yes. And but you need to ensure that you're answering all the queries so that you get clarity. Lot of you are saying yes. Those who are saying yes, they are wrong. They are not listening me properly. You have to listen me properly. I said, if that aggregate turnover, listen very carefully. Okay, so Vijay say we do not know anything. That's why here, not an issue, Vijay. If I also saying something that you're saying yes, you're wrong, don't take otherwise. If you don't know, I will make you know today so that we all know what is the provision. I said registered person having aggregate turnover exceeding 10 crore. So first of all, your aggregate turnover must exceed 10 crore. In any of the preceding financial year, preceding means your backward, starting from 17-18. So I say financial year. So to applicable the provision for generation of e-invoice from 1st October 2022, Vijay, and to all of you, those who have said yes, you need to check whether your aggregate turnover was more than 10 crore in any of the preceding financial year, in any of the preceding financial year, starting from 2017-18. In my example, what I said, it is 9 crore. In all the preceding financial years, 17-18, 18-19, 19-20, 20-21, 21-22, it was not exceeding 10 crore. That's the reason I asked you. And then I made one complication. Only in between April 22 to September 2022, it is 12 crore. Is it applicable? Simple, it will not be applicable. I hope I'm clear to all of you. Please tell me, am I clear to all of you? Please write down in the chat box, it is clear to all of you, so that no doubt. All right, so now everyone is saying clear. So perfect. Next top-up question. Is it going to be applicable for you from 1st April 2023? Because your turnover for April to September, I said 12 crore. Is it going to be applicable from 1st April 2023? Yes. Why somebody is saying no? Applicable. Very well done. So this part is very much clear to all of you. All right. Second question, why GST invoice, this is e-invoice which we are referring to, got introduced? Why government has introduced e-invoice? Can you write down something in a chat box? To my mind, it is one of the innovative tool as a deterrence against the tax avoidance, tax evasion. You are rightly saying, and there are a lot of dispute coming in the trade, fake invoice and fake credit. What government has done, and that is what they have emphasized from 1st October 2020, started with 500 crore, now reduced to 10 crore within 2 years. It is innovative and dynamic, real-time tool in the hands of government, benefiting both of us, to the taxpayer and tax department. Both are being benefited. This tool is helping to the government as a deterrence against the tax avoidance or tax evasion, helping to the taxpayer as a real-time matching, ITC matching, and there will not be any dispute. And with this process, automated return, GST return can be filled up. That is what the need. And over a period of time, let me tell you, the concept of eBay bill generation will go away. Adjourn date. Let me ask this question, then I will explain to all of you. If you are required to generate e-invoice, do you also require to generate eBay bill for movement of goods from one place to another place? Say yes and no in a chat box. Do you require? So lot of yes and lot of no, and with not sure also coming out. First question is this, and second, which is very much connected. If e-invoice, which is being generated, with the generation of eBay bill also necessary, adjourn date, yes. Adjourn date, yes. But do you require to carry physical copy of your invoice, which is e-invoice? So e-invoice is being generated. Do you require to carry physical copy when your goods is moving from one location to another location? For the e-invoice, physical copy is not required. That is what being prescribed and stated. And over a period of time, let me tell you, this eBay bill concept will go away whenever we are generating e-invoice, but that will happen in future. Hope I'm clear. Adjourn date, physical copy of invoice is not required, but generation of eBay bill with the e-invoice copy must be there, soft copy would be there. Only IRN is sufficient, but over a period of time in future, then we may not require to generate eBay bill when e-invoice is generated. Hope I'm clear. Say yes, at least say yes in a chat box so that concept is well understood. Okay, all right, thank you very much. Now, one part is very much clear. We have understood it. Coming to the second component. Now, when generation of e-invoice is necessary, there are lot many transactions, intra, inter, B2B, B2C, taxable supplies, exempted supplies, credit note, debit note, my export turnover. Lot of things are there, right? Lot of things are there. So when it is applicable, so this is the third component of my discussion today. It is applicable only for, listen carefully, B2B taxable supplies. B2B means registered supplier supplying goods or services to registered recipient. B2B taxable supplies, taxable which is subject to GST, and any debit note and credit note related to B2B taxable supplies, and any export is being made, that is also required for generation of e-invoice. That is my third component. So you must be knowing I said B2B taxable supplies, any credit note, debit note related to B2B taxable supplies, and export turnover. So when I said, let me ask one question. There's sometimes financial credit note. And financial credit note, you know that this is not being issued under GST, financial credit note. It is not issued under GST, no GST charged. And no adjustment is being taken neither by supplier nor by recipient. Whether such financial credit note is required to be routed through IRP for generation of unique IRN numbers, say yes and no in a chat box. Say yes and no in a chat box. Or need not required. Ramesh, need not require. So Aditi, I said financial credit note, I'm repeating again. Okay, listen very carefully. I'm a supplier. Listen, I'm a supplier. I supplied the goods, let's say at 100 rupees, 18% GST charged, but I'm offering you some discount after supply is being made. I'm offering some discount after supply is being made, 10 rupees. So there are two kind of credit note we understand in GST. One is the credit note with GST. So I would be issuing credit note for 10 rupees, applying GST 18%, 1.8 GST component will come, and that is available for adjustment of my liability supplier and reversal by recipient. That is the concept available. So these are called credit note under GST. But there are certain credit note which is called financial credit note, commercial credit note, and no GST charge. So I'm giving my financial or commercial credit note of 10 rupee, but no GST charge. So I only ask whether such financial credit note or commercial credit note, whether generation e-invoicing required. That's what the question I asked. So those who wanted me to repeat, I repeated this explanation. Now at least say that you understood it. Okay, so not required. Thank you very much. Thank you. Not required. Well done. Okay. Now listen very carefully. This was the third component. Come to the fourth component now. Fourth component. You would be asking, sir, you have said who are required to generate e-invoice, aggregate turnover more than 10 crore in any preceding financial year starting from 17-18. Whether any entity are exempted. You'd be asking this question, right? Listen, there are certain specified entity who are exempted. Who are exempted. So before I take this question, another question which is coming to my mind, let me ask whether this generation of e-invoice only for goods or it is for both goods and services. So write down in a chat box, only for goods or both goods or services. Okay. So my audience is learned audience. So it is for both goods and services. Even supplier of service and his aggregate turnover is exceeding 10 crore in any preceding financial year starting from 17-18, he has to generate e-invoice. eBay bill is not required for supplier of service, but e-invoice would be necessary. Well done. Now coming to my question, what all entity are exempted? Listen very carefully, what all? Government department or local authority. Even though they are exceeding the threshold of aggregate turnover. So this line, even though they are exceeding the threshold of aggregate turnover, more than 10 crore. But still, these are the entity need not require to generate e-invoice. What are those entity? First, local authority and government department. They will not generate e-invoice. SEZ unit need not required, but developer is required. SEZ unit need not required, but SEZ developer is required. Insurance company, financial institutions, and non-banking finance company need not required. Goods transport agency need not required. Passenger transportation services. So when I say passenger transportation services, it may be through railway, it may be through air, it may be through ship, waterways. They need not require. And multiplexes cinema admission. So when we go to watch movie, so multiplexes cinema admission, whenever they are issuing invoice, that need not be e-invoice. They are being exempted. So please tell me in a chat box, have you understood it? At entity level, they are exempted. They need not require to generate e-invoice. Say yes in a chat box so that I even taxi service, my dear, they are saying passenger transportation services. All right. I said, okay, Pooja, financial institution, banking, FI, NBFC, all covered, not required. So Pooja, export company need to be generate. Ramesh, am I clear to all of you? Ramesh, even export need to be included. So hotel is not excluded. So I told, see, listen. Do not ask one question. First of all, please grasp what all exempted. So those exempted, barring them, everyone required to generate e-invoice. So you can find out your answer accordingly. Somebody asked me whether hotel fellow required to generate e-invoice. Somebody asked me just a while ago. If it is not an exclusion, then compulsorily he need to generate e-invoice if aggregate turnover is crossed. If aggregate turnover is not crossed, then need not required. So what all excluded, I'm repeating again. Government department and local authority, SEZ unit, but not developer, bank, financial institution, insurance, NBFC, goods transport agency, passenger transportation services, and multiplexes cinema admission. These are in exclusion. Otherwise, everyone required to generate provided threshold of aggregate turnover is more than 10 crore in any preceding financial year. Now, there's one question which I got from M. Sembal. His question is very much relevant. And he's asking this question, sir, what happened? I got petrol pump. And this question I responded directly or indirectly when I started my presentation, but still I'm taking for the clarity of each one of us. So let's say I'm running a petrol pump and selling petrol and diesel. Petrol and diesel are not taxable in GST, not taxable in GST. So it's a non-taxable supply. But through my petrol pump, I'm selling lubricants and some other item which is chargeable to GST. So I'm just taking one example. Let's say from petrol and diesel, it is 9.5 crore. And from lubricant, it is 60 lakh rupees. So total is 10.1 crore. 10.1 crore. Please tell me whether this supplier of petrol pump required to generate e-invoice, say yes and no in chat box. Okay. Okay, listen. There are three questions now got involved. I understand that when I'm finding your chat reply, I'm finding it is becoming so interesting now. First of all, there's Rajesh P. First of all, we have to check whether he is required to generate. For checking this, we have to check aggregate turnover, right? We have to check aggregate turnover. And aggregate turnover is 10 crore. And aggregate turnover is sum total of taxable supply, exempt supply, and exempt supply includes non-taxable supply and export turnover. So go one by one so that slowly we can understand. If we look at the definition of aggregate turnover, AG now covering that AG exceeding 10 crore because of aggregate turnover, sum total of everything required to generate e-invoice. First say in a chat box, yes, it is applicable or not from aggregate turnover perspective. From aggregate turnover perspective. Okay, yes, all of you said yes. Now we have to see if it is required, then he will have two kind of turnover. One is lubricant cell on which GST chargeable. So if it is B2B taxable supplies, B2B, then only generation of e-invoice would be required. Have you understood it? Say yes in a chat box. Please say yes. All right. So when it is not applicable, when it is B2C, and second, when it is exempted supply. So petrol and diesel 9.5 crore not chargeable to GST. For that, do generation of e-invoice required? Say yes and no in a chat box. So that is how we have to understand. Hope I'm clear. And yes, today we are going to have one 10 minutes, 15 minutes session how Zoho can provide the platform to all of you to make your task easy for generation of e-invoice. Okay. Now let's move to next part now. Next part. I said for B2B taxable supplies, credit note, debit note, and export turnover. I excluded the entity also. What all transaction and document on which no generation of e-invoice. So first of all, and let me ask you so that I understand your clarity. For B2C, even though it is taxable supplies with a generation required, Say yes and no in a chat box so that I get a clarity that you all are with me. Okay, not required. Thank you very much. So you're making my task easy and no confusion means we are all okay. Thank you, Nagraj. Thank you very much. Thank you. So B2C not required. For exempted supplies, where bill of supply is being raised. Exempted supply, no GST charge. We are only generating bill of supply. Do we require to generate e-invoice? Please tell me yes and no. Not required. Thank you. Why yes? Somebody said yes. It is not. I said B2B taxable supplies. So it is no. Answer is complete no. Suresh, Param. Suresh, what you're doing? I said only B2B taxable supplies. So Suresh, for exempt supplies not required. Okay. Now coming. I will come, Rajesh. I will come to your point. Let's go slowly so that we can understand. Third, when you receive advance money for supply of goods, advance is chargeable to GST, but for supply of goods, it is being done away with from 15th of November 2017. But for supply of service, GST leviable. So what document we generate? Receipt voucher. Receipt voucher. Do we require to generate e-invoice? Say yes and no in a chat box. So there's a big no by one of my friends says. So there's someone saying yes also. Listen now very carefully. I'm giving you the list now. List. What all document you will not generate e-invoice? First of all, B2C supply, exempt supplies, receipt voucher. So when you receive the advance money for supply of service, even though GST leviable, but no generation of e-invoice. Refund voucher. When you're refunding the advance money. Payment voucher, which is to be generated by recipient for reverse charge liability. Self-invoice, when generated by recipient for RCM liability, when procured from unregistered supplier, need not required. ISD invoice, input service distributor invoice, no need of generation of e-invoice, need not required, need not required. So shall I repeat again? Devansi is saying, can you repeat all again, please? Aditi. Okay. So for Devansi and Aditi, listen very carefully. There are lot many things we have to discuss. I can repeat, I'm repeating again. Repeating again. Take a note of it. P2C supply, even though taxable, no generation of e-invoice. Exempt supplies, where bill of supply is being raised, no generation of e-invoice. Receipt voucher, third item. Fourth, refund voucher, when you're refunding the advance money. Fifth, self-invoice, when recipient generate the self-invoice to himself for RCM liability from unregistered supplier. Need not required. Payment voucher for RCM liability. Need not required. ISD invoice, input service distributor invoice, need not required. Say now, it is clear to all of you. Please say clear to you now. All right, thank you. So while I was doing this part, one question clicked to my mind. Let me ask this question now. In GST, there's a concept called distinct person. Distinct person. And distinct persons are means I'm having one PAN number, I'm ABC Limited, I'm having one PIN number, and I got 4 registration. One in West Bengal, one is in Delhi, one is in Maharashtra, one is Karnataka. And let's take fifth registration in Tamil Nadu because Zoho is in Tamil Nadu. So fifth, 5 registration. And the same PAN number. We become distinct person. We become distinct person and the same PAN number. Do we require to generate e-invoice when supply is being made from one distinct person to another distinct person? Please tell me yes and no. It will always be yes. B2B, registered supplier to registered recipient, and taxable supplies. Okay, am I clear to all of you? Perfect. All right. So having said that, I have said that. So Abhirami Ganeshan again asking, please repeat. Sorry, don't make my task so with the repetition, but still I'm repeating for the sake of clarity. In GST, under one PAN number, you may have multiple registration. I may have taken 5 registration in GST under one PAN number. So we become distinct person. So I only and simply asked, when I'm supplying goods or services among distinct person and they're under same PAN number, do we require to generate e-invoice? This was the only question I asked. Now, Abhirami, if I have multiple Abhirami, this is what I said. So please write down the answer yes, so that I will get a feel of it that you understood my point. Okay, all right. And for aggregate turnover, of course, it should be pan-India basis. It is not individual GST invoice. I got one question in a chat box. Maybe Pooja was saying this one. Pooja, why confusion dear? Your aggregate turnover should be calculated pan-India basis for all registration, totaling together. Am I clear, Pooja? Hope no doubt now. All right. So I said, now listen very carefully. So Aditi is saying clear. So कौन बनेगा करोड़पति KBC लॉक कर दें हम बोलते थे ना लॉक कर दें shall we lock it pan India label it would be pan India label so अब आगे बढ़ते listen even though Muhammad Ilyas for export it is required Zoho will show you that how these features are available. Now there are 2 modes. Listen very carefully from your own accounting and billing software. From your own accounting and billing software, you will generate the invoice, but that would be in specified format having specified particulars as per e-schema INV01. So this you must try to understand. For generation of e-invoice, we have to generate our invoice from our own accounting and billing software. That may be Zoho and any other software. But that should be as per specified format having specified particulars as per e-schema INV01. Having generated the invoice, you should have facility to convert into JSON file. You should have facility to convert it. You may be generating in PDF. You may be generating in Excel. You may be generating in Word. Will not work. It needs to be converted into JSON file. So there has to be converter available. When it is converted into JSON file, then it is transmitted or push to government dedicated invoice registration portal. So once your invoice, which is converted into JSON file, is being transmitted or push to government dedicated invoice registration portal. So government has launched, initially they launched invoice registration portal, which is www.einvoice1.gst.gov.in, and now also they have launched multiple portal. Why they have launched multiple portal? To cater volume, fast processing, and providing the IRN number. That is what they have done it. JSON file. Now listen very carefully. Once you have pushed the data to IRP, what IRP will do? IRP will do deduplication check and verify your specified particulars as furnished in the invoice. If it is in order, then this IRP going to provide unique invoice reference number, IRN, and which is 64-digit alphanumeric hash, 64-digit alphanumeric hash, and affix QR code and digitally sign. So IRP going to do deduplication check and verification. Whether your invoice contain all specified particulars as required as per e-schema INB01. And once it is in order, it is going to assign you unique IRN number with QR code digitally signed. And then this IRP will give back to the supplier JSON file, which is having unique IRN number, QR code affixed with digital sign. So supplier once getting it back, and it is on a real-time basis, and it is being stated within 200 millisecond, this process would be happening. So that portal going to provide such a faster service to you, IRP. Once you get your JSON file, you can convert it into PDF, and then you can get also printed and provide back to your buyer, recipient of goods or services. But listen, IRP also going to play important role, that this IRP going to transmit the data to eBay bill portal also for generation of eBay bill. Here it is important, if you are filling up part A and part B of eBay bill, then you can generate eBay bill while generating e-invoice. But in some cases, when e-invoice generated, but eBay bill you want to generate later because you are not having truck number, transporter ID, part B of eBay bill, then the data of part A are being transmitted to eBay bill portal for generation of eBay bill. Simultaneously, this IRP going to transmit the data to GSTN common portal, for auto population of your GSTR1, so that you will get all data of your e-invoice which is auto populated in GSTR1. So your GSTR1 is somewhat ready for you, but there are certain questions which I need to ask you. So I ask one by one. Your data which is getting auto populated from IRP to GSTN common portal, it will only have B2B taxable supplies, credit note and debit note, and export. So what all table of GSTR1 you will find auto populated? Can you write back? Please tell me. What all table of GSTR1 gets auto populated through this IRP transmitting the data to GSTN common portal? Tell me what all table. Don't say export invoice. Please tell me what all table. Samsuddin is only writing. So again, I was taking your test, right? Table 4, table 6, table 9. Are you recalling? Of GSTR1, B2C will never be getting auto-populated. Exempted will never get auto because you're not generating e-invoice. I hope I'm clear now. It is only such data which is being used for generation of e-invoice gets auto-populated. So I'm clear to all of you. Please tell me yes in a chat box. Yes in a chat box. Now next question, even though it's getting auto-populated, do you require to check and verify? Second question, it gets auto-populated. Do you require to check and verify? Yes, even we are finding some of the particulars are not auto-populated, or some of the particulars are not correct. Even as on date, and there's a problem. There is a problem. And few bills, Samsuddin is correctly saying. So even though it's get auto-populated, but we have to check and verify, make sure. So you understood my part. And this invoice generated, the particulars of same also will go to the recipient, buyer of goods or services. So this process, which I said, conversion into JSON file, transmitting to IRP for deduplication check with unique IRN number, QR code affixed, digitally signed. Zoho going to make presentation today for 15 minutes. Just wait and watch. They will show you the process, integration, how Zoho is providing a platform which can be connected with your accounting and billing software for all conversion. Now this transmitting the data to IRP can be offline through Excel or can be through API for bulk uploading or through GSP. So those features, Zoho going to make you presentation after this presentation. And then after Joho's presentation, I will open up question and answer also. So this part is over. Now certain question which I got in my mind, I want to get it clarified. I've given you all the brief overview, but certain query which is I'm having in my mind, I want to have answer from you. If I want to generate e-invoice, and I'm supposed to generate e-invoice, but I have not generated e-invoice. I have only raised tax invoice, properly shown all the transaction, GST charge, whether your buyer, your recipient can take credit on such tax invoice, which is correct as per the law. But the supplier was supposed to generate e-invoice. Whether buyer can take credit, say yes and no in a chat box. Yes and no. So those who are saying yes, please wake up call. Wake up call. He will not be given credit unless e-invoice is generated. So any supplier who is liable to generate e-invoice and he is not generating e-invoice, then buyer will not get credit. So be careful. Then second issue will come. As a buyer, you will say, and I'm going to discuss everything. How should I know and how do I come to know that my vendor, my supplier is liable to generate e-invoice? So now you have to go back and check your vendor master. And you would be having their GST number, right? You can go to IRP, that is the invoice registration portal, and check the status of such supplier, whether he is liable to generate e-invoice first part. You can check the status online. So you need not required, you can go and type GST number, you come to know. Second, you must take one certification from all your vendor and supplier that from 1st October 2022, because this is the date we are discussing. If he's not generating e-invoice, he must certify to you that his aggregate turnover pan-India basis is less than 10 crore in any of the preceding financial years starting from 17-18. So that tax invoice which he is generating, that is the eligible document for you to avail credit. And this certification must have indemnity clause that in case you are liable, vendor is liable, supplier is liable, and he is not following the law, not generating e-invoice, and your credit disputed because he has not generated e-invoice, he is liable to indemnify you for the credit amount, interest, penalty, and all legal consequences. You must take this certificate, which is indemnity certificate. But otherwise, I told you, you can go back and check the status of all vendor and supplier on IRP portal. Second part. Third part. Somebody has asked in a chat box, that's the reason I'm taking this question. I have generated e-invoice, unique IRN number got generated, but after generation, I came to know there was some mistake in that invoice. Some mistake in that invoice. Can I amend my such invoice after generation of e-invoice on IRP portal? Say yes and no. Can I amend? Please, can I amend? So no amendment. You can't do any amendment on IRP portal. It is only a pass-through portal. It is only a pass-through portal. You can't amend. At most, you can cancel your e-invoice. When I'm asking cancel, let me ask this question. Can I partially cancel? Possible, or fully cancel? It is partial or fully? Please tell me. It should be fully cancel, no partial. And that too within 24 hours. That too within 24 hours of generation. Maximum time limit 24 hours. So what happened? You could not cancel, or if at all you have to amend, then what is the way forward? You have to go to the GST common portal. GST common portal. Now, if at all you want to amend or cancel after 24 hours, then the concept within the same month, you have already generated the invoice. IRN is there, but you know you want to amend it. For amending the said invoice, what is the way forward? Amendment can be upward liability or downward liability. For upward liability, what do you normally raise? Please tell me. Debit note or credit note? Please tell me in a chat box. What do you normally do? Debit note. And for giving some kind of reduction in the output tax, what is the document? Credit note. And that is how you can amend your transaction. That is how. And for such debit and credit note under GST, which is raised pertaining to your original e-invoice, do you require to again go to IRP? Please tell me. Pertaining to such debit note and credit note, renew, please. First listen my question, then give the answer. These debit note, credit note are related to my B2B taxable supplies with GST, renew. So it need to be. Renu, am I clear? All right. Thank you. Okay. So this is within the month. What happens subsequent month? Also same transaction. Subsequent month, again the same transaction, right? By way of debit note and credit note. That is how amendment and cancellation beyond 24 hours I convey to all of you. Now coming to certain other important aspect, and which is what my issues as on date. And then in open house, any questions left, I will take your query as well. My summarization, quick summarization. It is for B2B taxable supplies, credit note, debit note, and export. Who all are exempted? Government department and local authority. But question comes when you are a registered supplier and raising invoice to government department, B2G, do you require to generate e-invoice? Say yes and no in chat box. B2G, yes. B2G, yes. Only G2B is not required. B2G, yes. And no amendment on this IRP, whether within 24 hours or beyond 24 hours, because it is a pass-through portal. Somebody asked in chat box. That's the reason I said. So this is what I've said: aggregate turnover, sum total of taxable, exempted, and then export pan-India basis exceeding 10 crore in any preceding financial year. I said what all document, what are the things need to be done, what are the challenges as on date I'm finding. First, sometime my IRP is not working. Invoice registration portal is not working. Why we are looking only Delhi, Mumbai, Calcutta, Chennai, Bangalore as location? They're 2-tier city, 3-tier city. My internet is not up. My internet is not working. Electricity is not there sometime. What happened? Can I supply without generation of e-invoice? Is it possible? Say yes and no in a chat box. Possible or not possible? So lot of yes and no. Legally we can't. No. Legally we can't. Legally we have to generate e-invoice. But what happened? Can we hit a supply chain? Sometimes we are working on just in time. That is the concept, like with the 3 hours, 4 hours production line. That is how we are doing it. What to be done in all such cases? And sometimes you may ask this query, sir, what happened? IRP is not working. How can I hold back? Connected question, have you seen by yourself that is there any field? Let's say you were supposed to generate invoice 3 days back, assume 3 days back. You did not generate e-invoice. Now you're uploading today, transmitting today on 27 September. It was supposed to be on 24th September. You did not do for either or region. Now you want to upload the same on 27 September, dated 24th September. Is it possible? Can we do that? Whether the system is allowing, please tell me. Whether the system is allowing, please tell me. System is allowing. System is allowing. Those who are saying no, please wake up call. System is allowing the same, and you can do that. So still it is open to all of us. Okay. So what is my answer to all of you in case, and listen very carefully, it is not a legal answer. But of course, we can do when we are finding my internet is not up, electricity is not there. We can do this process, but exceptionally. And what is this process I'm telling you? Generate the normal tax invoice, transport the goods as required, because for the region, you can't hold back your supply chain. And you should have that window. You must click your IRP picture that IRP is not working as a substantiation of proof that IRP was not working. supply on tax invoice and write a letter to your jurisdictional authority. And this is my personal view, not a legal view, but to only help and assist my supply chain. Write to your jurisdictional officer that region why e-invoice was not generated. Attach that clip when IRP was not working and supply chain need was there to substantiate tax invoices being generated. And you will generate e-invoice as and when IRP gets up and ready for generation of e-invoice. At least write back to them to be bona fide and honest. This is the via media I'm suggesting. There's no way forward. As per law, we need to generate. But IRP is having no bottleneck, nothing, no rider that you can't generate e-invoice of your 2 days back, 3 days back. That is still available. And why it is available? Because even government understand that there may be issue on IRP. There may be XYZ region. That's the reason they kept it open. So such invoice can be again put and transmitted, pushed to IRP for generation of e-invoice, and you write back to the authority with a tax invoice with IRP IRN number for which you generated the e-invoice. Coming to the next part, there are 3 portals. eBay bill portal for generation of eBay bill, IRP for e-invoice, and GST common portal for GSTR 1, 3B, all GST compliances. Now my question to all of you, why we are having 3 portals then? Why can't we integrate the same? So again, my answer to all of you would be over a period of time. You may see that these are likely to be integrated, but for the timing, there are 3 portals and we have to handle with the 3 portals. Your eBay bill portal, invoice registration portal, and then GST common portal. When I'm saying so, as a supplier, you need to prepare the reconciliation. Reconciliation of what? E-invoice generated with eBay bill generated, and then accordingly it is being reconciled with the books of accounts. For recipient also these kind of reconciliation for availing credit is required. Now let me conclude. All are not applicable to e-invoice, eBay bill, so we have 3 portals. So Abhishek is saying something, not an issue, but over a period of time we would be looking for. Now listen very carefully. What I will do, I will ask Zoho team to make presentation before you for how Zoho is assisting you to convert your invoices into JSON file and then transmit and push to IRP so that IRP do deduplication, check and verification, unique IRN generated with the QR code affixed and digitally signed. After that, I will take your query, whatever you got pertaining to e-invoice. So Hasini, handing over to you for showing that how Zoho platform is helping the taxpayer
Sure,
for generation of e-invoice.
Sure, Bimalji. So we have actually recorded the entire process in the form of a video by linking it to the e-invoice portal, and then you will be able to get a better insight of how everything happens. So, in order to give you that, I'm going to play the video that we have recorded with all the proper data and everything. And we also have Chitra from our team, Zoho Books' team, to also guide you if you have any questions or if you need any more assistance. Then Chitra will be able to step in and answer your questions and also guide you through the process. So right now I'm going to share the video with you all.
To make the taxpayers understand the process, the government has provided a sandbox environment to test the process of e-invoicing. The e-invoicing sandbox portal is an API testing portal with which you can test the e-invoicing system before connecting with the IRP directly. To begin with, let us see how to create an account in the e-invoicing Sandbox portal. Go to the link einv-api-sandbox.nic.in/einv API client. Click on Register here. Under the user type, select Taxpayer and enter your GST number. Based on the GST number, the trade name field will be auto-populated with your organization name by the GST portal. Next, enter your mobile number and email ID that is registered under the GST portal for the GSTIN mentioned above. Enter the CAPTCHA and click on Validate. The details that are mentioned above will be validated. Click OK in the pop-up window that follows. Now, click on Send OTP and click OK in the pop-up window that appears next. Enter the OTP received on your registered mobile number and click Submit. Once the OTP has been validated, the form for creating a new account in Sandbox will be displayed. In the Create Account form, the GST number of your organization will be auto-populated. In the Registration Through field, select GSP and select the company as Zoho Corporation from the drop-down. The client ID will be provided by Zoho if you wish to test the e-invoicing through Zoho Books. Next, enter the username and password using which you would be logging into the Sandbox portal. Finally, click Create. This will create an account for you, and these credentials can be used to log into the Sandbox e-invoicing portal. Now let us see the process of generating e-invoices from Zoho Books. Before getting started on e-invoicing from Zoho Books, we recommend you to create a new trial organization under Zoho Books to connect to the e-invoicing Sandbox for testing purposes. Once you understand the process, you can connect your live Zoho Books organization to the live IRP. It is not recommended to connect your live organization to the Sandbox environment. Let us assume that you have created a new organization in Zoho Books. You can share your organization ID with us and we will enable the Sandbox testing for your Zoho Books organization. Once we enable it, you need to do a one-time setup to start generating e-invoices from Zoho Books. Go to Settings, Preferences and select e-invoicing from the left pane. Enable the e-invoicing in Zoho Books option and click Connect Now next to the GST number for which you will be generating e-invoices. Enter the username and password that you mentioned while creating an account in the IRP Sandbox portal and click on Save and Validate. When the validation is complete, a connection between Zoho Books and the e-invoicing Sandbox portal will be established. Let's do some setup in the invoice templates to support the e-invoice document. Invoice templates is a section where you could configure the look and feel of the invoice PDF you would generate. Let us edit the template to accommodate the IRN and the QR code. Click on the footer section and enable the QR code, IRN, acknowledgement number and acknowledgement date fields. Once done, save the changes. Now that we have connected Zoho Books to the e-invoicing Sandbox portal and made the necessary changes in our invoice templates, we can proceed to create invoices and have it pushed for e-invoice generation. We can create a new invoice under the sales module. We will select the customer and make sure that the shipping and billing address is available along with the GSTIN of the customer. Place of supply, invoice date and invoice number will be auto-populated. You can make the changes if required. As you see, these are mandatory fields and cannot be missed. Next, we will select an item, ensure it has the HSN configured. Select the rate and quantity and the tax will be auto-populated based on the item configuration. Now that the required details are added, we can save this invoice. Once the invoice is saved, we can view the created invoice in the overview section. The status will be shown as yet to be pushed. We can double check the invoice details and then push this to the IRP. You get a pop-up with two options to either generate e-invoice or to generate e-invoice as well as e-waybill. Based on your requirement, you can choose the option you prefer. For now, I'm choosing push only invoice details. If the invoice has all the relevant details, the invoice will be successfully pushed to the IRP and the IRN, invoice registration number, will be generated. The status will be changed to pushed. The invoice registration number generated along with the QR code will be shown on the invoice document. In case if you miss out on any fields, the e-invoice will not be generated and the reasons for the failure will be shown on top of the invoice. The status of the invoice will be shown as failed. We can edit the invoice and make the necessary changes and repush it to the IRP portal. In case if the e-invoice has to be cancelled, it can be done so within Zoho Books. The e-invoice will have to be cancelled within 24 hours. When you cancel the e-invoice in Zoho Books, it will be cancelled in the IRP as well. You can provide the reason and remarks on why the invoice is cancelled. If you have lapsed the 24-hour limit, you will have to manually cancel the e-invoice in the GST portal and mark it as cancelled in Zoho Books too. So, an invoice could be at different stages. Yet to be pushed, cancelled, etc. We have multiple views to check the status of your invoices. Let's see pushed for e-invoicing view. As the name suggests, it would show all the invoices which you have successfully pushed for e-invoicing. Next, we have yet to be pushed. These are the invoices which are yet to be pushed. Over here, we also have the option to select multiple invoices and have it pushed to IRP for e-invoicing generation. Next, we have a view to check the failed transactions. This would list the invoices for which the push was failed. You can make the necessary changes in the invoices and repush these. You will also be able to push the credit notes and debit notes to the e-invoicing portal from Zoho Books by following the similar process. You can also configure the user permissions for pushing and cancelling e-invoices under the Users and Roles section in Zoho Books. You can configure the permissions who will be able to push and cancel transactions from Zoho Books to the IRP. Not just this, for businesses that involve recurring invoices, you can automate the process of creating and sending e-invoices from Zoho Books with much ease. You can set up the preferences such that the transactions are automatically pushed to the IRP before sending it to your customers. Well, that brings us to the end of our e-invoicing walkthrough in Zoho Books. As you can see, e-invoicing can be done quickly and easily via Zoho Books. Once you're confident about the process of e-invoicing generation from Zoho Books, you can connect your live Zoho Books organization with live IRP. The steps would be the same as what we saw for Sandbox testing.
So that brings us to the end of the video. And now, yes, so if you have any questions pertaining to Zoho Books, how the invoicing works, then you can shoot it out. And if you have any questions pertaining to Bimal Ji's session, if you have any questions on how e-invoicing is going to affect your business, you can feel free to shoot it out. Make sure you are putting it in the questions tab so that we can pick it up and then project the question on the screen. In any question, if you have put it in the chat box, make sure you're putting it in the questions tab so that we can answer it accordingly.
Harshini,
Yes, Bimalji.
do you have your any colleague sitting who can take up the queries of participants
Yes,
from
Bimalji.
Zoho?
Yes, as I said before, we have Chitra with us from the Books' support team, and she will be able to take up the questions and answer it.
So maybe Chitra can also, switch on her video, and then any question from Zoho Books perspective, she can answer.
Yeah, sure.
So then request participants, because they were asking lot many queries in terms of how Zoho can help, pushing the data to IRP, amendment, cancellation, debit note, credit note. So you all are free to put your question in a chat box, that question answers box, so
Yes.
that Hasri can project and Chitra can answer that.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So we have questions coming in, and okay, let's take questions as they're coming in. So I'm going to take a question from Miss Khushbu Shah. So Khushbu is asking how to amend a B2C invoice into a B2B in next month. If B2C customer later on, say in next month, gives us GST number.
Khushbu, this is a different question, but let me answer you for your convenience. If you have captured as a B2C, which is supposed to be B2B on providing GST number of the customer, then you have to go to table 10 of GSTR1 and amendment to be done for B2C supply, and that should be added in table 4 of B2B of next month GSTR1. Khushbu, hope I'm clear.
Khushbu, let us know in the chat box if you have more questions. Let's move on to the next question, and that question will be okay. So this question is from Ashish Ghai. Ashish says, "Sir,
Can
can we generate e-invoice directly from GST portal without using any software?"
see, yes, possible. Offline model is also available. Offline mode is also available. You should have only converter facility that whatever tax invoice you have raised from your accounting and billing software, that should be converted into JSON file, and through offline mode you can upload push to IRP.
Awesome. So let's have next question here. Next question is from Jaydeep. Jaydeep is asking, "Hi sir, if you are liable for e-invoicing and not enabled for it, will you be able to get the refund while refund application is filed?"
If you are liable for e-invoicing not enabled for it, will you able to get refund while refund application is filed? See, that may be another issue, Jaideep ji, that you're filing refund application because of your zero rated supply and you have not generated e-invoice. Then to that extent it is non-compliances, and to that extent your refund may be withheld by the proper officer.
Okay, Jaydeep ji, I hope that answers your question.
And do
Uh,
one favor, Harsini, do one favor. You can then switch off this video so that we can see that the question projected coming very clearly.
yes, Bimal ji, one second. Yes. So next we have Anish. Anish is asking, "Hi sir, can we clear the data that has been auto-populated in GSTR1 through e-invoicing and freshly upload JSON? Is IRN mandated to be mentioned in GSTR1 B2B filing?"
See, Anis, when data gets auto-populated in GSTR1, of course you can fresh up and upload a fresh data. That is possible. And for IRN GSTR1, you're uploading invoice-wise particulars in table 4 of GSTR1. To my mind, that is required to be.
Anish ji, I hope that answers your question. Next question, Chitra, I think you will be able to answer this. This is a question from Puran Sundaram. So he says, "Is it possible to push yesterday's invoice of Zoho to IRP?"
So as of now, we have not imposed any restriction on pushing the invoices from Zoho to the IRP. So it is currently possible to push even the invoice that you created yesterday from Zoho to the IRP portal.
I hope that answers your question. Then let's have one more question. This is from Mr. Balaji. So Balaji says, "Sir, we have created an invoice of B2B but forgot to do e-invoice. Shall we do e-invoice for the same invoice in next month?"
Till the time this facility available on IRP, you can definitely do that. Till the time there's no bar in the IRP portal. So it is open as on date. So you can definitely do that. And you must do that for your recipient buyers to avail credit.
All right. And we have one more question in the chat box. So I'm going to read it out for you, Chitra. So Dhaval is asking, does Zoho Invoice support e-invoicing?
No. So Zoho Invoices currently does not have the e-invoicing feature. But if you're looking only for generating e-invoices from Zoho Books, we do have a separate software called as Zoho for e-invoicing. So maybe you can export the data from Zoho Invoice, import it into this e-invoicing software, and from here you can bulk push it into the IRP.
All right. And we have another question from Raja. Raja is asking, who can raise the e-invoice in Zoho? Only admin or anyone?
So it depends on the users and roles that you configure. So admin by default will be having permission to push and cancel e-invoices from Zoho Books. And in other cases, you can create a role in such a way that you can configure who must be having access to push the e-invoices to the IRP portal. So only to users whom this permission is available, they'll be able to push the transaction and cancel them from Zoho Books.
All right. Now we have one more question. Let's take this as our last question. Yashwant is asking, I'm going to project it on the screen. So, how do we accommodate for invoices that are sent on a recurring basis on the first of every month? Because we have 300 invoices that go out on every first of the month.
Chitra, if you can help me out.
Yeah, sure.
How?
So, as we saw in the video which we played previously, it is possible to push the recurring transactions too. So, let us say you've set up a recurring profile where the invoices are created on the first of every month. You can configure the settings in such a way that once the invoice is created, it will be pushed to the IRP portal, and the IRN details like the QR code, IRN, acknowledgement number, acknowledgement date, everything will be affixed automatically, and it will even be sent it across to your customer. So it depends on how you configure your preferences. You can go to the settings in Zoho Books, and under preferences, go to the recurring invoices section, and you can enable this option where you can create the invoice, push the invoice to the IRP, and also send it to your customers. So this option is there in Zoho Books already.
Okay. So this material that sorry, Vimal.
Hasini,
Yes. Yes.
Hasini, some of the queries which I'm finding in a chat box, let me reply in quickest time possible.
Sure.
Dinesh Kumar asking if I'm an e-commerce seller, can issue invoice for B2C? B2C invoice is not applicable. Ankur Jain, is there any chance for extension of October 1 deadline? To my mind, no way possible. Looks like no. Devansi, in case of GTA, sorry, it is also going so fast. Devan, in case of GTA, which is also undertaking movement charges where GST is charged, is e-invoicing required? If movement charge is only incidental or ancillary for the provision of GTA service, then not required. It continue to be GTA, and there's a circular for that. You can check. Going to next question, somebody asked that if taxable amount is okay. This is Sinduri. In case invoice amount does not exceed 50K, can we generate only invoicing without eBay bill? Possible. There's no problem per se. Okay, going down. Can we raise? Okay, lot of now question.
Yeah.
Sir, B government, business to government e-invoice required. I answered it. I said B2G is required, but G2B is not required. Okay. E-commerce, I responded already. E-invoice, B2C invoice is not possible, cannot be done. Hotel, I've said it is applicable provided your aggregate turnover is more than 10 crore. That's what you need to check. Then if example are GST number, both Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. For Tamil Nadu, my turnover crossed 10 crore. It is pan-India basis. So Abhinami, Ganeshan, it is pan-India basis. So sum total of all turnover coming from all registration under one PAN number. So it is more than 10 crore. It is applicable for all the registration you are having under that PAN number. Not. Can we, Anis, I responded to your point. It is possible you can clear the data and put in accordingly. I responded back to you. So more or less, we have taken up lot many queries. Can I ask 2-3 questions to my all participants now? Hasini, we are through from Joe perspective, right?
Yes,
Okay.
Bimalji. And just one more thing I wanted to say: this particular video that I played will be available to all the attendees. Once the session is over, you will be able to download it. It will lead you to one window, and then from there you will be able to download it. And if you need any queries, then we are always here to help. You can always, email or get in touch with us. We'll be able to help you. Yes, Bimalji.
Navedali, irrespective of any value, B2B taxable supply, e-invoice generation is required. Okay, now coming back to all of you. It is going to be applicable from 1st of October 2022. We have tried from our side to get you prepared, that how you'd be, ready for generation of e-invoice. A lot of queries were there. During my deliberation, I have resolved number of queries, and I have told you that we have to follow e-schema for INB01 specified particulars. So there are a lot of things, and this video which we have recorded today would be available, and in quickest time manner, Hasni will get it uploaded within a day or two. So in case something which you have missed out today to capture, you can see the video and get yourself answer for those queries. Otherwise also, as I normally say, alongside Zoho, we are trying our best to provide each and handholding in terms of GST to make GST good and simple tax. So we have tried our best to give best of the best of the content and clarity on e-invoicing. I hope that it is really satisfactory to all of you in terms of your understanding, and from Zoho perspective, any query you can write back to them, you will get the answer, and that might help you for your preparation of generation of e-invoice. Can we say thanks and goodbye to each one of you, or still Yogesh Jain, I told you for B2C, not possible. I repeated a lot many times, repeating again also. So thanking Ashish, Sinduri once again, Ravi Kumar and Deepak West, thanking each one of you, thanking Hasini also for such a lovely moderation, and Chitra, chipping in and giving a presentation and replying to your query pertaining to how this handholding Zoho can provide for generation of e-invoice. Thank you very much. You all are taking out time and participating. Do write back to us in case. Don't say we are obliged. So Dinesh Kumar, don't say we are obliged. We are playing role of partnering each other, helping each other, and that is what in realistic term we are saying walk the talk. So good and simple tax. Take care of yourself from my side, and stay tuned. Lot many things. We are on social media also, so you can check out all social media update either on my channel or Zoho channel for your lot of things pertaining to GST and other than GST as well. So Hasini, anything which you want to say?
So thank you so much, Bimalji. This session has been really engaging. So there are so many questions you all have been answering, but due to the short span of time, we were able to pick up and then answer a few. If you have more questions, Bimalji is always on social media. His accounts are always active, and he keeps posting polls, and he keeps responding to a lot of his followers also. You can make sure to follow him. And if you have any questions relating to Zoho Books' e-invoicing capabilities, then you see the email ID, the phone number, and the social media account on the screen. You can make sure to either ask it, send an email or call us directly, and we'd love to help you out. Like I said, recording, I will upload the recording mostly by tonight on Zoho's social media account. So you can follow our YouTube account as well, and the video will be available. This video, e-invoicing video, like I said previously, once the session gets over, you'll be able to download it from the same screen itself. And if you need anything else, we would also love to have your questions answered. And Bimalji's session, it has been recurring, and we have been doing a lot of sessions with Bimalji. We are also planning to do more sessions in the coming months. Make sure you stay tuned to his channel and also to Zoho's channel for updates on upcoming webinars with Bimalji. We loved hosting you, and I personally I always enjoy moderating Bimalji's session. I've always told him multiple times. So yeah, it was really a great session. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Bimalji, for taking the time out and making the session engaging.
Thank you to each one of you. Take care of yourself. Stay blessed. God bless all of us together.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.